Thank you for visiting the Rotary Club today and bringing good news in these bad economic times.
It's my pleasure to be here today, and the good news is when the county floats its infrastructure bond here within the next couple of weeks, that we will finally get the money set aside to finish Fell Site from the frontage road on 14 all the way to 35th Street West.
That'll be good. It'll be nice smooth driving then.
It'll be smooth with no gaps and no sharp turns like there is now, or a lot of signs that say end where it really doesn't end.
Sure. Now, Hummel Hall, I noticed, has been closed for some meetings, but refurbishment.
It's getting a brand new floor, long overdue. It's part of the Community Development Block Grant for my district, and Hummel Hall is one of the few places in Rosamond that qualifies for that money, so I'm glad to put it in there.
Well, thanks for visiting. Thanks for thinking of Rosamond, and for reading about Mrs. Spoor's article on chloramine. She's
excellent articles, and thank you for publishing them, and thanks to the Rosamond Rotary for inviting me out on this beautiful day in Eastern Colorado.
We've had a lot of activity on lately, and not a lot of mirror cleanings.
listed on your business card as the founder of eSolar.
That's correct.
And this started approximately 2 years ago?
Yeah, it was February of 2007, just a little over 2 years ago.
And founded in Pasadena?
It was founded in Pasadena, that's correct.
And you're saying you're drawing a lot of talent from our good old Caltech?
Caltech, that's right, and it's been an incredible resource. We have some of the most brilliant engineers coming out of Caltech, a lot of young graduates coming out of Caltech that have made a tremendous impact in terms of the progress we've made in developing the technologies and the innovations and the creativity. It's really been a great benefit to us.
Make sure you level the property and set them down. That's it.
Everything you'll see in the south field.
Are they going to go to that tower?
All the mirrors here will, you see that, we'll go take a look at the boiler, but that's a cavity receiver there. All 6,000 mirrors here will be pointing their light towards the cavity. You see a black square there on the right side of that receiver. It looks kind of like a double wide. A lot of
This Lancaster plant here, you feel that within a 10-month period, it'll actually go from construction start to producing sellable power to the grid.
This is a commercial power plant, even though it's a smaller one, but it's a full demonstration of the technology on a commercial scale, and it uses all elements of the design and fabrication that will be used for the larger 50 megawatt commercial plants, 46 megawatt commercial plants, and it's actually a validation of the design on a commercial scale.
You need to have power supply to off-point the mirrors so you don't turn your receiver into a hunk of molten metal. 12,000 sounds can do some damage in a fairly short period of time.
It's very important to correct that, I said. Otherwise you can get trouble in trouble.
You can see the mirrors will turn towards the center, and this is the cart that goes down all the way down the road, spraying water out of these nozzles here.
And those rubber tires match up right against
with the frame.
That's the bumper cart. Otherwise you can get trouble in trouble.
It'll go down on its own, and then there's a cone or there's a marker down at the end that tells it to come back, and then the receiver will take it out of the row, fill it up, put it in the next one. And so while he's waiting for it to go down and back, he could actually be working on multiple carts. So you could have 4 of these going about the same time.
Materials you mentioned are manufactured in Texas and South Dakota and Oklahoma.
A lot of the parts of the boiler, the critical, expensive parts are being manufactured in the U.S. There's still some parts that are coming from overseas, but our plan is to try to migrate that manufacturing back to the United States, and in our next generation of design for the heliostats, improved versions. That is one of the design criteria we've put in, and it is to be able to make it manufactured locally with automation and simplification, geared towards leveraging perhaps some of the automotive industry capacity, because there are a lot of gearboxes that look like the kinds of gearboxes that are used in automobiles. So this would be one way to leverage the automotive industry in the United States.
Rosamond would be a good fit.
Oh, absolutely. In terms of solar resource and what the fit that we look for, with the footprint of this power plant, 46 megawatt, 160 acre type footprint, and proximity to transmission, distribution line transmission, and putting it closer to cities that can benefit from that, loads. I think this is a very good fit for Rosamond.
Yeah. Well, good. Thanks very much for the time.
Welcome, yeah.
Okay.
Well, this month we had our nominations for either person or group of the year. We had one nomination for group, which would be the Antelope Valley Citizens for Responsible Use of Water.
Oh, okay.
With Randy Scott and the other Scott family. We also had a nomination for Kathy Spohr for Person of the Year, and we also had a nomination for Dr. Scheer, Bob Scheer. So all three have been nominated, and we're looking at possibly presenting all three with awards.
Oh, yeah.
All right, so one for organization, one for person, and one for probably a Lifetime Achievement Award.
Sure, something like that. That makes sense, doesn't it?
I've seen him and his effort to improve, especially the children in the community, their lot,
Right. He worked hard for it all the time, right?
All the time. Always had some kind of a program cooking up in his mind.
Right.
And, of course, he was handicapped with his sight.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Oh, absolutely. He wasn't fit to drive.
Oh, really? But he did.
He kept all the fenders bent off his car. So he always had to lean on somebody else. And one of his main posts was Dolores Julian, of course.
Yeah,
she did all of his paperwork practically for him. He just did all the cooking up and planning.
Mr. Personality.
Yeah.
Now he did a lot of stuff with the fair and the animals.
Fair, the roping arena. He's the one that started that. We had a Little Britches Rodeo here for several years.
Did you?
Yeah.
That's right.
He was right in the middle of all of that. He helped build that arena down there. And of course, in conjunction with the rodeo, we had our little fair at one time.
Sure.
And he was all an instigator into that. And that was before I even knew him. When I bought my first piece of property from Jim Williford in like 70. About maybe 1970. And then he and I were friends from there until he died.
And main business being always real estate.
Absolutely. Yeah. He worked at the base as a machinist.
Oh, I see. And did real estate kind of as a weekend?
A piece of metal flew off of the lathe and put one of his eyes out.
Oh, I see.
And then he got infections or other complications in the other eye. And so he was probably legally blind.
I see.
But he could read if he had a magnifying glass, or he could get it up real close. But that didn't qualify him to drive.
No.